5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate very much your generous invitation to be here tonight. You bear heavy responsibilities these days.
Welcome to Stock Legends Radio Show, seeking answers, opinions, and the inside scoop, putting you in the front seat on Wall Street.
In today's market,
This is breaking news. Where is it going next?
StockLegends.com.
Welcome to Stock Legends Radio, episode 16. Please welcome today's host, myself, Quick Draw. Also, as our special guest today, we have Mr. Paul Rist, the CEO of Pervasip Corp, public ticker symbol PVSP. Paul, welcome to the Stock Legends Radio Show.
Thank you very much, Quick Draw, and thank you for having me here.
Oh, it's our pleasure. Actually, I've looked forward to this moment for a long time. I've always watched your company, and it's been one of the select few in the market that I've had a constant magnifying glass on. So it's really our pleasure to have you on today, Paul. Paul, before we get into the topics that we like to discuss about all the opportunities and amazing things going on with your company, let's first get our listeners today more familiar with yourself and your own personal background and what your inspiration was behind Pervasip Corp.
I am a certified public accountant. I have an MBA from the Stern School of Business at New York University, and I started out with Ernst & Young on the audit staff. I served as a senior audit manager, and I audited several public companies while I was there, so I had good exposure to the SEC environment. I left Ernst & Young to engineer a leveraged buyout, and so my industry baptism came at that company in a highly leveraged environment. I served as a board member of Pervasip, as an independent board member, before joining them as an executive. And when I came here, we had a different business model that just wasn't that attractive for a public company. But I was also on the board of a small local competitive exchange carrier, a small phone company in Florida, and I loved that company's business model. So I was able to convince the board here at Pervasip to adapt this telecom model, taking advantage of the Telecom Act of 1996. And at that time, we changed our name to ELEC because we thought we were going to be the local exchange carrier that ran over the internet. So even in the late 90s, we said to ourselves, we're going to eventually do telephony over the internet. It wasn't really available in a commercial way back in the late 90s, but it became that way finally in 2004. And so up to 2004, we leased South and Quest. And our competitors, instead of leasing landlines, many of our competitors bought circuit switched equipment and tried to compete directly over the circuit switch network, and they ended up going out of business. We always thought we were smarter because we leased the technology that was 100 years old, and we established ourselves and set us up so that we would become a packet switched carrier. And finally, in 2004, we were able to attract the right team of developers, a couple that we hired from Red Hat, Mark Richards, our chief information officer, that we were able to steal from Volo Communications, and we put together our own soft switch on a greenfield play, and that makes us better than many other VoIP carriers. We were one of the few executive teams that told the IT department that they did not have to incorporate legacy equipment into the VoIP platform. So we built a VoIP platform, Linux-based, on a green field, and because we control the code and own the code, we can really do whatever we want.
The opportunity is almost endless, and with your recent progress and moves forward, you guys are on a rapid pace to really take some names in the game. Now, you've had a couple releases recently that are very exciting. It seems like you have an excellent strategy in place. Often more than not, we see these companies come in and can tell that they really just don't have a strategy and they're not taking a strategical advantage of the market. But we've noticed here, that you've done your $5.6 million debt reduction. Countdown begins, $3.2 million first quarter. International mobile VoIP Android app. I mean, this is some pretty exciting stuff. I mean, just for an investment standpoint, to be able to take a look at the headlines and see the last 5 or 6 headlines, you can actually see where you guys have a strategy that's been implemented and you're just going down the list, which is organized and extremely exciting. Do you want to take a moment to tell us about this international calling that was recently added to your Vox Mobile Android app? That's an amazing addition.
Yeah, certainly. We are very excited about this, and the app is something that we just love, and there's several reasons we love it. First of all, it's really a seamless download onto your Android device. It's a very easy install. We've done other apps for Symbian, for MIMO operating system, but this Android app is the best we've done so far. It's smooth, it's easy, it just works. In addition, the app business model is very attractive to us. We can achieve rapid revenue growth without any buildup of inventory or accounts receivable because, with our app, what are we doing? We're selling minutes, and we're charging a customer's credit card in advance for use of our telephone service. So we don't have any inventory. We don't have to pick, pack, and ship a minute. Those minutes we simply interconnect, and if we have to buy a minute from another carrier as we simultaneously sell the minute to our customer, then that's what we do.
Normally, you have let's take a normal business. You have to have manufacturing plants. You have to have outgoing processing. I mean, you have to have all these other things that, number one, aren't just hard to control, but they're also expensive. And, if you're not paying attention to your bottom line consistently, it can be hard to follow. I mean, coming from an accounting background, I'm sure you handle it, but the streamlined situation with these mobile apps and the Vox is more or less just a trade of cash for an instant prompt. It's able to be in the customer's phone in a split second. Let's talk about the benefits of this app. So it's got international calling. What other capabilities and benefits would the customer see after they download the app? I mean, what's the initial install look like, and how would it be used from that point forward from the customer's perspective?
Okay, well, there's several benefits. We can focus on a couple of them. When you download our app and you go to dial a customer of someone in your phone book, then you're prompted to say, well, go out as a mobile call or go out as a Vox call. So you have your same contact information. Now, I have a friend who downloaded our app. He is Verizon calling. He just has a 600-minute plan from Verizon. But he uses, I'm sorry, did I say 600? He has a 700-minute plan from Verizon. When he travels, he uses more than 700 minutes. So he just makes sure he uses the Vox calling app for any month where he has heavy calling because he bought the $10 plan that we have, and he gets 500 minutes for $10. And if he runs over on his Vox calling minutes, we charge 2.9 cents a minute. If he runs over on his Verizon minutes, Verizon charges him 35 cents a minute for running over.
Isn't that unbelievable?
It's unbelievable. Cell phone calling and international cell phone calling, true, is the last part of telephony where the wireless carriers are gouging the consumer. And we take this ability out of their hands. They can't gouge the consumer anymore. And by the way, when you use our app, you go over the data side of the cell phone network. So obviously you're not using your Verizon minutes when you call. There are some apps out there from mobile VoIP companies where you dial, but you're using your voice plan minutes also. And you're dialing into a gateway, and then the gateway does call forwarding of your call to its ultimate destination. Well, to us, that's a Mickey Mouse app. That's not a real mobile VoIP app. What we do is we go over the data side of the cell phone network, just like your email does, just like you go on the web. And the signal from your smartphone or tablet goes to the cell phone tower, but that signal is packets. And once it gets to the cell phone tower, it gets to the internet, and it's handed off to us. And then we complete the call. And, if you call, we sell under the name Vox. We love that name, too. Vox is the Latin word for voice or voice over X. We'll take your voice over anything. So if you're calling another Vox customer, it's a free call. But if you're calling someone else that's not a Vox customer, that's no problem. We can complete that call to whoever you're calling because we have a variety of interconnection agreements with some major carriers. And, if you're calling India or China or Australia or Alaska, it doesn't matter. We'll complete that call for you.
the call when it goes out, I want the listeners today to know that the Vox is a cloud-based voice over internet protocol. So for those of you that aren't familiar with the cloud, it's actually it means exactly what it sounds like. If you picture a giant cloud that were to encompass the whole entire globe, it's actually able to pick up and transmit data from any area within that cloud, which allows for maximum amount of efficient speed. It allows for a higher quality, and it also allows for the person that's providing the service the ability to be able to act as if they had a cell phone tower on every corner of the world, which really increases the productivity and the end product by that much, and also makes it more cost effective because you don't actually have to go and build and put the towers up. They're already in place. Is that more or less correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up. Yesterday on Cloud Tweaks, there was a nice article. We love these kind of articles that says that cloud-based computing is revolutionizing voice communications, and that it's so powerful that cloud-based computing is mounting a direct challenge to the dominance of the traditional telecommunications behemoths. And we love it when we see this in the press. We operate in the cloud. It gives us enormous flexibility. Unlike the telcos that still use large circuit switched equipment, even for your voice plan minutes, that's a circuit switched equipment completing those calls. That's more expensive and much less flexible. We run over a packet switch network. And what's even more interesting is our voice service is only the tip of the iceberg. People need to realize that we're a mobile content provider. We're already doing video telephony over broadband. We have video phones over fixed broadband, and it should not be much longer until we incorporate video calling into mobile devices. We're already pushing video, so it's not much longer until we're sending movies to your smartphones. And in fact, right now, as we test that, if you want to watch Avatar, we have that, and we'll pop it to you on your smartphone so you can watch it and see how easy it is to do streaming video. And I say easy kind of in quotes, meaning voice is real time, so voice is actually harder. Streaming video is a bit easier. So, pushing content, pushing movies, pushing advertisements, we can push anything to your mobile device because we're really a mobile content provider.
That's an amazing ideology. So, I've got my phone. Let's say, for example, it's got a 1 gig memory chip in it. After downloading these apps and after storing cookies and data and things of that nature, my phone starts to get a little slow. It freezes and has all kinds of issues. So you're saying that you're able to connect the cloud technology, or I'll call it technology for the sake of this conversation, and you're able to synchronize the phone with the cloud and actually use the cloud as if more or less that was a storage device to transmit and stream live content.
Yeah, that's correct. We're a cloud-based company, and we have been virtualized. The cloud is so powerful that, we can take our technology, get on the internet, pull out our laptop, and install our soft switch in another country in someone's server rack in a co-location facility, and let them sell our telephony product in their country too. And in fact, we've had some discussion about that in our last 10Q, and as to what our goals and objectives are. And indeed, that's something we're working on. We're scoping out specs for servers in another country, and we love it because when the telecom entity in another country buys the servers and sets them up, we don't even have to go there to install our software. That's how powerful the cloud is. And because we're functioning in the cloud, we can install our software out of the cloud onto their equipment without us ever making a physical visit to their co-location facility.
That is amazing. Not only just from the standpoint, if you look at the basic infrastructure, for example, just technology as a whole and the infrastructure we see in the U.S., a lot of wires and things that we actually utilize to date, they came around in the early 1900s and haven't been improved. So this is the digital revolution that we're seeing take place. It's a natural phenomenon. The end consumer wants a higher quality product for less money. They want it faster, better, higher technology, standard human nature. So they want this technology, but you've got the the big dogs, I'll call them in this example, but they don't want Vox and these types of technologies coming in because it's a no-brainer. They're going to get pushed right out of the market. So they're obviously they're nervous and they should be about this. You're expected to approach 300 million users by 2013. I don't want to get too much off topic with going to this because I also want to go back to the reseller potential and opportunities here. But so 300 million users by 2013. That projection, now that's going to be based on the mobile app, the voice over IP app. Is that including with the streaming video and all those other additions? Because it seems like that number could actually far surpass that. If you look at the growth of like companies within a short period of time, within a couple years, your end product's better, and as you add these added functionalities, it'll have more capabilities. I mean, could that projection change and get larger as you start to introduce these new additions to this application communications?
Yeah, certainly it could, and part of it is going to be how many people buy smartphones, because that's really, there's that equipment limitation. You can't have a user unless the smartphone is out there in circulation. But the last data I read from the Android people is that 850,000 new activations of Android devices occur each day. So they'll have, in a couple of years, there should be 1 billion Android devices globally. And then you go to the iPhone, and we do plan to come up with an iPhone app. Fortunately, it's not a significant change of what we have for Android because they use similar SIP stacks. So we have that on our plate. It's not next in line. We're going to do a prepaid Android app to individual countries next, so that we can do targeted marketing, let's say to Brazil. Here, download this app and call Brazil for this great rate per second, and we want to do that with prepaid buckets. So we think a lot of people will sign up and give us $5 or $10 on a pay-as-you-go basis. We have right now a $30 unlimited calling app to 60 countries, but that does not include another 200 countries. You're really limited to those 60 countries. So first we're going to bring out this prepaid bucket app, we call it, and give you buckets to prepay on so you can call any country, and that gives us the ability to target market to, let's say, Mexican families in Southern California, because we know calling from the United States to a cell phone in Mexico is very expensive per minute. And we think we can attract many new subscribers by doing that target marketing with our prepaid bucket app. After that, we probably go to the iPhone and then do our video enhancement. There are a lot of things we want to accomplish this year with the app. We're getting hundreds of downloads each day on our free app. Then a lot of those, most of those people then subscribe, and then we're working on converting those into paid customers too. But there's a lot of value in those subscribers, even if they decide not to turn into a paid customer, because as we see from companies like Instagram, having a few million subscribers can be very valuable.
Without a doubt. I also want to bring this up. First thing that comes into mind here with me, a lot of people go and just for the sense of utilization, they'll go and buy a prepaid phone, for example, and they'll put 50 minutes worth of minutes on their phone, and they'll be able to use it from then. And then when it goes off, the phone goes off, and they go and buy more minutes. Some popular ones are Cricket, there's Track Phone, or the other ones. Will this app have the functionality to be able to power a phone without having the base of a phone plan? So, for example, could somebody grab a phone? Could they engage the phone and get the app on there and utilize that app, or would they have to have at least 100 minutes or something like that?
Oh, well, we have customers that bought a data plan only from AT&T, got a free smartphone, and then use us for voice. So we're their only voice solution. Or how about a tablet? If you have a tablet, you have a data-only plan. Buy a tablet and download our app to the tablet, and you can make phone calls.
That makes perfect sense. I just found a unique article. I'm going to source this here. It's visiongain.com. Just did a report, and it's on the mobile market as a whole. And it says that the fixed networks market, which is the opposite side of the market, this report's a little bit old, but it's got some good content, will grow in 2010 by 7% to almost $200 billion. Now, if we look at the flip side of the coin, which is going to be the VoIP, this is going to show even stronger growth and will be up 16% to over $140 billion in 2010. And then it goes even further to actually mention some competitors that are in exact cross markets from Pervasip and where you guys are going. And it said the fixed network saw a slight dip of 0.5% in 2009. But the information and communications market will increase by 2% to $2.3 trillion in 2010 and $2.4 trillion in 2011. So we're actually seeing China, a similar type of trend occurring. Chinese telecom market will grow by 8% to 126 billion. Indian markets will grow by a staggering 15% and $40.5 billion. So now knowing that, we see the growth on a broad spectrum across a couple of countries. And I mean, 15%, $40 billion. I mean, this is an exploding growth. Same with China. Now, how will you be able to intercept and capitalize on these markets? Because like you said before, it's not like the old days where you find a store space, you put a sign in the store, you fill it with inventory. Those days are gone. You can more or less sit there and provide the highest quality service and be able to do it through the cloud and never even meeting with an instant transaction between cash and product. Are you going to be able to capitalize and segment into these markets like India, for example, which is the largest growing one? And do you have a strategy for that?
Yeah, we like India a lot. And in fact, one of our first prepaid bucket apps is going to be directed toward India because we see that we have a competitive price advantage and great quality on calls to India. In fact, with our international calling app, it's downloaded in India and calling is made to India. It's probably the fourth or fifth most frequent download that we get is in India. We've already had someone offer us to buy an exclusive license to market our app in India. The price the person offered was substantial. And,
I can imagine.
And, we're thinking about it because it's a quick revenue pop. And I've sent him a license agreement, which his attorneys are looking over. Don't know if we can pull it off. But, yeah, you're right. India is really huge for this. In fact, might be more important than China because Chinese minutes, everyone pays a penny a minute to dial China. So it's not as significant. We think, India, Mexico, Brazil are very significant. And so we plan to do target marketing on the internet, on the web, get people out blogging about it. And, eventually these go viral. I mean, we've seen app companies with a telephony app get 1 million downloads in a week because they did some advertising, the right venue. And we want to do that with some of these prepaid apps, not with our unlimited 60-country calling app, but we want to do it with these prepaids because then it's more of a direct response ad, and we will have measurable results as the result of from our advertising.
You just said something very exciting, and I want to kind of target this and segment this. We do have some listeners that come from different sources. Now, you just said unlimited 60-country app, and I forgot to mention this earlier, but this is something that I want to kind of pull out of the box and put on the table for people to be able to examine. You've got your international business people that have been conducting business. For a long period of time, if you conducted international business, the end of the leash was really the BlackBerry world. And at that point in time, even a plan for the BlackBerry world, it can put you 1 foot in the grave, 1 foot in a banana peel to even try and pay the bill at the end of the month. So here you have an unlimited 60-country international calling app, and that's a set price. So if you're conducting international business, you can utilize the cloud, which means that you're going to have phenomenal service, unlike somewhere else where you might have one bar and you have to kind of stand on one leg and rub your head to get service and do the dance. You're going to get exceptional service at the speed of light, and you'll be able to do it in 60 countries. How much does that plan cost? And is there any additional evolution that's going to come to that as far as the consumers?
Well, the plan costs $29.95 a month for the unlimited calling, and I tell you, it's very interesting because we're getting some downloads in Europe and people signing up for the unlimited plan, and we have their call records. And we're big in data analysis. And from the best we can tell, we are cheaper than their incumbent carrier calling within their country. Okay, so it looks like, but let's pick France, that a person in France downloads our app, he can call someone in France cheaper using Vox than he can using his current wireless carrier.
For the investors that are in Pervasip right now, they have to understand that there's multiple segments to this strategy. You know, you've got the video, you've got the calling. You happen to have a diverse portfolio of things going on, but they're all grade A. A lot of times a company will come out and they have a flagship product, and then they've got three or four things that really are almost like, you know, dead weight, that are kind of dragging the company along. But here you have multiple avenues that are streamlined. They're all encompassed in basically the same methodology. So for the investors, they're basically coming in right as the ship's basically sailing off to sea. And this is a technological advancement. With the digital age, it's not like if you wanted to market a product to somebody just 5 or 10 years ago, you would have to advertise in the newspaper. You'd have to have people go around and put little marketing brochures in a mailbox. But nowadays, in the digital age, data travels at the speed of light. I mean, people aren't even going to the mainstream media as a whole anymore. They're going to other avenues, you know, the internet. They say that the average teenager just 5 years ago spent 80% of their time watching TV. I know when I was younger, I was the same exact way. Now they spend 80% of the time on their computer. So they've actually have control over this portal and what kind of information they're getting. So as this starts to catch wind, the investors have to realize that there is some huge potential here. And we know this at Stock Legends, which is why we've almost stalked your company. You know, we've been in the shadows following and watching you. We know the people that are invested in your company. We communicate with them often on the different message boards and chat rooms, and are always looking for updates. This is the type of thing that potentially goes viral and doesn't look back, and that's phenomenal. You guys have an unbelievable array of services to be able to offer here. So, okay, so you've got the video, and you said, as far as the video is concerned, you said that could potentially be coming out and be offered within what time period?
Well, yeah, that's hard to say because it's so complicated what we do, and it's we're working with 10 employees, so I don't like to tell them to investigate every new app edition and block out how long it's going to take them to do it, because that just takes up a lot of time. And we're not, Global Crossing. So the video component of our app is third in line, let's call it. I mean, first we want to come out with prepaid international calling to specific countries. It's prepaid buckets where, again, you can give us $10, and this is very important for several of our sales initiatives that we're working on. We announced we had a letter of intent with a mobile wallet company in South Africa. We're talking to mobile wallet carriers, and we love them. The two we're talking to have about 5 million subscribers. These subscribers have money on their smartphone. They have a way to pay us. They're in a foreign country. In Africa, for the most part, we're told most carriers charge 25 cents for a text message. We could sell texting all day long if that's what we want to do.
Exactly. These are the deep, dark corners of the world. I mean, you have to understand the competitive companies and services. I mean, they just don't reach there. So, I mean, imagine being from these countries that are up and coming. They're not used to this kind of stuff. So to be able to bulldoze your way into the market, I mean, you could capitalize with your eyes closed.
Yeah, that's what we think. We think there's some markets really ripe for us overseas that we can capitalize on. And we love Africa especially because they're very advanced with their 3G network. They were so late to the game in building the telephone network that they didn't put up, you're not going to put up poles and wires to get phone service across a desert, for example. You're going to build cell phone towers. So their 3G networks is well advanced. More than half their devices are Android devices. And again, with this prepaid bucket app, there are several countries that are expensive to call in the Mideast or Africa. Senegal, I think, 25 cents a minute to Senegal. So if someone in Africa wants to call Senegal from their cell phone, they can't do it using the Vox network now because we're only offering the 60-country calling app and Senegal's not in it. right? So that's the next development we need to do on our app so that we can go and do some serious marketing and set up this mobile wallet company opportunities. They already have subscribers with money with a smartphone. What a great partner to sell our app.
The more we talk about this, almost the more exciting it gets, especially from a strategical standpoint. Like I said earlier, you're able to basically take a look at the company over the last 6 or 12 months. You're able to see a strategy that was put into place. And again, here's another perfect example. You guys decided out of all your different marketing partners to partner up with Facebook, and you're running millions of impressions. And not only that, you have a target audience, which means that you guys are collecting data, you're doing it the right way, you know who your end user is, so you're not wasting money like most of these companies do, but you're targeting college graduates in the 10 countries: United States, Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, Egypt, Mexico, Malaysia, Philippines, South Korea, United Arab. So you know where your end user target audience is, and Facebook is just a brilliant place to go, even more in other countries than the U.S., because like we said before, and like you just stated, these countries 5 or 10 years ago really didn't even have much. What they did is they put in brand new stuff, fiber optic cables, brand new towers, and almost overnight, as quickly as the advancements have come in these countries, they exploded, and Facebook is the next best thing since sliced bread. So was that your methodology more or less in targeting Facebook? And what exactly, because it says college graduates would more or less be your age demographics that you feel would utilize this more than others?
We thought college graduates were more apt to have a smartphone, because we're targeting users in countries that we don't know a lot about, those countries that we chose. Facebook is very valuable to us because it really allows us to test and see if we spend X dollar. If I spend $100 in Colombia a day, Colombia marking them and get all these clicks, how many of those clips end up being subscribers, and how many of those subscribers end up buying the app? And it's interesting, it's data, and we want more data to analyze. We're definitely getting the best reaction in the Middle East. We're getting more signups in the Middle Eastern countries than we had anticipated. They have more of an appetite for this product and are more willing to try it. And then they use it, which we think is great. And then, we were saying before about viral, is we're doing some other videos and advertising on Facebook to mention the app too. But if our customer makes a call using the app to someone else's cell phone or landline, what are they going to say? They'll probably say, hey, I'm using Vox. This is a pretty good call. This is really great. Either I called you for free on my trial, or I'm calling you for 2 cents a minute. Wow. If you call a landline in Britain from your cell phone and you're in the U.S., they're going to charge you $1 a minute, unless you've signed up for a big special plan. And then it's still pretty expensive. But we're charging you 2 cents a minute to call a landline in Britain from the U.S., from your cell phone. That's great. So when people make the calls, they spread the word. So we do think once we juice up the advertising and pick the countries we want to hit the hardest, that we'll get some good viral growth. And, of course, our dream is then eventually one day we can actually cut back on advertising too, because it'll start taking care of itself. But that's what happens with these good apps, is people spread the word. And we think people will spread the word automatically because they're making a phone call on our network. And one of the things you say is, hey, how's this call? I did on Vox. I made it for free, or I made it for 2 cents a minute, or this is the only way I can call. I actually have some friends here in New York. We're dying to call Ecuador. The poor guy's got his fiance's in Ecuador, and we don't have service to Ecuador yet on a cell phone. So he says every time he calls his fiance, it costs him $20. He can't take it anymore.
It's amazing, how much advantage is taken of the average person that, doesn't have the functionalities. Now, new subscribers, anybody that's listening today, we want you to go and download this app, and you get a free 60-minute trial. So you can call any country, go ahead and test it out. And we're also, we're going to want to send you to voxcorp.net. Is that going to be the best place for them to go to get additional information on this app?
Yes, that'd be the place to go, voxcorp.net.
Excellent. Now, we kind of hopped over a subject here. I just wanted to cover that real quick, but we hopped over a subject here. Nowadays, we're in the modern age of information and statistics. It makes the world spin, not just necessarily for your business, but for every business. And one of the largest ways to get access to information is to have an app, and some kind of app like this. Now, does it have the capabilities to be able to store any data to then in return be able to be turned turned into marketing approaches for yourself or maybe somebody in a vertical market?
Yeah, well, here's the thing is you got to look at the company as a mobile content provider. Okay, we have a mobile content platform. We can send adverts to your phone. We know we can do video to your phone. We're not doing video to a mobile phone yet. We're just doing it to a video phone that runs over a fixed broadband connection. But we know what we can do. We built our network. We understand the code. We know what we have in the code for the app and what we can add to it and what we can't. And we think that's a big advantage over having our own software and owning the code, where some of our competitors that do VoIP and try to do mobile VoIP, they bought a large switch from Sonos Networks or Tech like or someone, and they're really limited by their equipment vendor. See, we don't have no equipment vendor limitations because we wrote the code ourselves. So we don't have to wait for equipment upgrades or software upgrades. So we can do anything we want to do. We can push videos for $1. Let's get a license agreement with Sony or Paramount or let's pick an entertainment company, get a license agreement and push videos to your smartphone, of course, then, or our video phone for that matter, because then you hook it up to a flat screen and you don't have to watch on the small screen. You can watch it on a large screen or send ads. Or what we have? Our customer, in fact, we're at a customer today that wants to buy another 150 video phones, and we're a software company. We're the video phone service provider. We don't really care what equipment you use, to a certain degree. We don't really care. We don't sell equipment. We sell minutes or video minutes. And these people are saying, they love the video telephony so much. They want it on tablets, and they want their entire mobile workforce, 5,000 people, to get our video service on a tablet, so that when they call in to the home office, it's always a video call. They want that visual contact to see the facial expressions, to see how perky and peppy are, probably to see if the guy shaved and is wearing a tie today too.
Exactly.
So they want that for their entire workforce, and they've been given a video phone to their customers because they believe it gives them a huge competitive advantage if their customer makes a video call. They think if their customer service department receives video calls, they can get more sales and get fewer phone calls made to their competitors.
And that makes perfect sense. If you think about it, from the perspective of the first scenario that you explained, if you have an employee, rather than talking to them on the phone, by being able to make that eye contact, most of the human interaction is done by body language and eye contact. So if you and I were standing in the same room, your brain and body would actually read more off of my hand gestures and my eye movements than the voice coming out of my mouth. So from a sales perspective, to be able, or from a leadership perspective, to be able to see the person that you're talking to is a streamline, and you're able to get right into them. So that makes absolute perfect sense. Now, let's take it to the next thing that I'd like to bring up here. Trust Pay. Here's the reason why. I didn't want to bring it up directly, but since you put it in a press release, a lot of times companies might not want to mention another company's name, so we won't directly focus on them. But what I do want to focus on is the technology here that we're speaking of. What Trust Pay more or less does is they have a revolutionary, innovative, and extremely necessary technology where you're able to use what's called a virtual wallet. So, your cell phone more or less acts as a network for being able to accept payments. And I saw this about 4 or 5 years ago. I was at a technology show, and it was in the segment of the business which is called merchant processing, which is the action of processing funds, from a credit card or, from any type of virtual account. And what we were hearing about at that point in time is that in Japan, people were able to walk up to a vending machine, and it was called Blu-ray. They were able to Blu-ray the vending machine, and the end product, the bag of chips or the drink or the candy bar would fall down, and the end user was then charged at the end of the month for all of the products that they purchased via their cell phone. And I remember thinking of this, and you know, I saw it originally, and it just mind-boggled me. And I was like, wow, you know, that's a pretty amazing idea, but I wasn't sure exactly how it works. So now we're seeing this be put into place, and for you guys, this could be a potential huge opportunity. Is this going to also segment into your strategy more or less if everything goes through here? And can you update us with where you are in the process as far as that's concerned?
Well, yeah, sure. That's actually why when I was telling you the 3 upgrades we're having to the app, that's why that bucket app, as we call it, you know, the prepaid international app is next on our development list, is because we need that for TrustPay. Okay, we actually need it for 3 different entities, and we want to have that then also to do some substantial marketing on internet portals to specific users. For the virtual wallet company, given that they're in Africa, we need to provide calling on your cell phone really to any country in Africa. And our 60-country app does not do that. So the next app development, we think, will be what we need to finalize our agreements with TrustPay and other mobile wallet companies. And you know, we think this is really huge because all the customers of companies like TrustPay have a smartphone. Now they're not all Android based, but they have a smartphone and they have money on it. They can give us $10 up front for calling, and then they make calls and they run out of money, and then they have to give us $10 again. And that's the model we love. Like I was saying before, our model is no inventory, no receivables. We're selling you minutes and you pay in advance.
Right. Exactly. There's a key sentence in this that I'd like to highlight. It says, our international calling features and robust network capabilities allow us the opportunity to partner with world-class companies like TrustPay. And that's really the moral of the story. You have such a unique product that, you know, it's not just a unique product. It's more or less the backbone of the sophistication of what a lot of other companies are trying to do. So unlike a typical situation where you might be reaching in the bucket for strategical moves to make, here you're more or less, I mean, you're the playing field, and they're standing on the playing field. So you get to decide who passes go and who doesn't that adds on to this technology. Is there anything that you would like to say to your new investors or potentially some of your past investors that have stuck by you? I know you have a huge loyal following base, and it's for all the right reasons. Anything that you'd like to say directly to the community?
Well, we love what happened to Instagram this year. If you look at Instagram, you know, a year ago they had 13 employees. They're an app company, a photo app company, and this year they get bought for $1 billion. I mean, if Instagram can do it, well, why not us? Maybe it's not to that degree, but we have a great app. We have mobile content. We plan to soon have a video app. And if a photo app is worth a lot of money, a video app should be too. You know, we're patiently working away. And we think with the next 3 additions to our existing Android app, we'll be in a position where we can attract a significant number of subscribers and start driving a significant amount of value to the company.
We saw your plan come into place. Now you did your debt reduction, clearing up the books. I mean, you've actually got people that are going into the open market and trying to increase their positions. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you take a look at as an investor that tells you it's easy to see, you know, once you've been in the business for long enough, for the guys that have done the due diligence on hundreds, sometimes some even thousands of companies, there's a very small handful that are really doing things in the right sequence. We see your sequence basically one thing after the other just falling down like dominoes and speeding up. The buzz cloud is growing. Investors are extremely excited about your company. I'm extremely excited about your company, and the opportunities are endless. Paul, we'd love to have you come back anytime you would like and keep us up to date with everything that's going on with the company, even advancements, anything like that. We'd love to have you come back, and we'd also like to commend you for coming on the radio show. We think it's such an underutilized tool for companies such as yourself to be able to speak directly to their investor community and really be able to get a feel for the company.
Well, thank you. I appreciate being here, and Quick Draw, I appreciate all your efforts and the time you took with me.
Absolutely, Paul. It's been our pleasure.
All information posted by Stock Legends is for informational purposes only and should not be construed as an offer or solicitation to offer or buy or sell securities. By listening to this radio show or this poster or this video by Stock Legends, you are accepting sole responsibility for your own investment decisions. By reading messages, doing so in videos, or listening to the radio show, you acknowledge that the information hereunto contained within this message or video provided or radio show is for general opinionated discussion and for informational purposes only, therefore should not be considered to be complete, precise, accurate, or current investment advice. Be aware that internet persons, videos, and so on, not only on the original message board where this disclaimer was discovered or in this video show, but other message boards that is not limited to the originated video of the website, may be increasing or decreasing our share positions in security regardless of what they are saying or posting or construing on this radio show. It may be compensated in some way or form by a third-party investor in the company mentioned posted in this video or radio show. The non-affiliated third parties compensated may or may not have shares to liquidate, which could affect the stock price. Assume that any security mentioned is owned by Stock Legends and may be buying or selling, adding or subtracting away from the position that they have, regardless of anything said, inferred, construed, or referred to. Believe before or after starting company profile. Always do your own due diligence prior to making investment decisions. Never borrow money and buy penny stocks. Always remember penny stocks are very risky. You could possibly lose your wife, keys, car, house, and everything else comes along with it. Also, be aware that information provided concerning certain securities contains forward-looking statements that involve risks and uncertainties. As in any investment, never invest in a penny stock unless you can afford to lose your full or entire investment. We completely abide by the Fifth Amendment for this full entire show.
The whispers are true. Games that are legendary. StockLegends.com.